Hi, I'm Cathy Gilmore, and I welcome you to Heaven's Front Porch. This is the place where we think about virtue and we realize that heaven's not as far away as we might imagine. Here we discover that we all can be virtue heroes. Because all it takes is everyday virtue, which is our efforts, combined with the supernatural power of God's grace, and that makes us a virtue hero, a superhero that isn't just pretend, but for real. And when we're a virtue hero, our power lasts forever. So the virtue that we're going to think about today is the virtue of trust. And my sister and I created a storybook about the Easter Bunny that is a really beautiful example of trust. And right now, perhaps you're feeling a little bit afraid. Many people feel afraid sometimes. It's part of life. And so in our storybook, our little bunny felt very afraid. In the story, it says that he was afraid of nearly everything, nearly all the time. I'm going to show you the picture because it's really sweet. See in there? He says he had a problem. He was afraid of nearly everything, nearly all the time. And he was afraid of all the kinds of things that we're afraid of. Shadows and darkness and being lost in a crowd, things like that. He was especially afraid of dark places like caves and things like that. Maybe you're afraid of something like that. Or maybe you're afraid of being sick. Or maybe you're afraid of someone you love being sick because you feel like, what can you do about that? And so part of fear sometimes is feeling a little bit helpless. And this little bunny definitely felt helpless because this was before he was the Easter Bunny. Anyway, in the story, I'm not going to read the whole story to you because I want you to think about these things and then you can read the story on your own at some other time. I'll tell you ways later to access the story. But the little bunny, he gets really scared because there was one big day where almost everything he was afraid of all happened at the same time. There was an earthquake and lightning and thunder and everything, and he ran into a cave, the one place he was very afraid of. And when he was in that cave, something amazing happened. And it was the cave where Jesus was buried. And so the little bunny got to witness the resurrection. And we put him in this cave, we put him in this dark place to help children and all of us to think about how when we are in a dark place, when we're in a scary time, that we're not alone. Jesus is there with us. We may not realize it, the little bunny didn't know who they had put there in with him, but he wasn't alone. And the beauty is that when the story concludes, the little bunny has to decide if he trusts Jesus or not, because Jesus is alive, he stands up, and he's offering to hold the little bunny. And the bunny decides to trust Jesus. And Jesus takes him in his arms and gives him a hug, and that's when the little bunny's fears lifted. And that moment of love from Jesus takes his fears away. And so I want you to think about when you're afraid that you can imagine Jesus taking you in his arms and hugging you close and taking your fears away. Because he says to you, don't be afraid, little one. I am with you. That's what Jesus says. And so you don't have to fear. And so the virtue that when we decide that we're not going to let fear paralyze us is trust. When we place that trust in Jesus, then our joy can come back because our confidence rises. Everything about us lifts. We're brighter. We can smile because we know that Jesus is with us. And no matter what happens to us or to anyone we love, that it's going to be okay. And so that's the thought that I have for you right now. And I hope that if you experience the story of Easter Bunny's Amazing Day, that you'll keep those things in mind. And whether you're a grandma or a grandpa or a mommy or a daddy, or a little child, little boy or a little girl, that remember, doesn't matter how old we are, all of us get afraid sometimes, but no matter what, we can place our trust in Jesus, and He will lift those fears when we do and give us joy. So for anyone who doesn't have a copy of Easter Bunny's Amazing Day, the way that you get the storybook is you can, it's published through Liguori Publications, so you can find out more at liguori.org. You can also get it through any specialty retailer that you like, a Catholic bookstore or any other kind of a local bookstore. I always like to have us shop local. We want to support local businesses in any way that we can. But also you can get an ebook, an enhanced ebook, which means you get to have it in both English and in Spanish. So that makes it kind of fun. But I hope that you will be blessed by this story. And I know that my sister and I created this story to be a blessing to so many children and families. And we hope it is that for you.